hard to say. I mean, it's not really undisciplined, but it's also, and this is another thing I want to talk about, like discipline is not that easy, right? So to actually incorporate discipline, you also have to be like, or you have to have the will and the energy to actually also realize that, yeah, if that makes sense. What I'm saying is if you're completely tired, you're completely messed up, you're hungry, chances that you can pursue some goal or some obstacle without being motivated is nearly impossible. Yeah. So what I'm saying is there was a lot of travel stress. I was perhaps even like without my daily routine, a lot of distraction, and this also leaches energy. Exactly this energy which would have been mandatory or needed to actually overcome that obstacle. Yeah. Okay, didn't happen. I'm taking a look at the chat because I think perhaps for this topic there will be some feedback. Hey Show, how are you doing? Okay. Okay, so but many other Hearthstone pros and pros in other games don't have trouble playing non-primary games for fun. Yeah. So so what that guy was actually saying is, yeah, other people are also doing that, distracting themselves and still being pro in some games. But the reality is different. So if you see like the very, very top world-class people in any area, chances that they don't let themselves distract that much are very high. Yeah? Because they just spend more time and more effort and more focus, more energy in one area, and chances that they succeed in this specific area then are just much higher. It's obvious, right? Yeah. And also the thing about talented people. So talented people usually also have a tendency to, like some not, but some don't. But some actually have the tendency to think because they are so talented, they can actually mess around and don't need to focus their energy so much. And this is the reason why you see hardworking people without talent or with like a average amount of talent succeed talented people. Just take a look at us. Yeah, if you take a look at us at the beginning, or let's say after half a year of Hearthstone, we were not like the best. We were not bad. We were average talented, perhaps even above average talented, for sure. But what we were not like gifted at all or something like this. Yeah, we actually had to like enter, of course, a competitive level, but like not even close to world class. Okay, and then we focused every day, every week, every month. And we were getting better and better. And actually, whenever like those other guys were actually doing party, distracted themselves with other games, drank alcoholic beverages or whatever, whenever that happened, we were working hard. Yeah, getting better at Hearthstone. And so what you saw is we actually got better in Hearthstone. Yeah. Also in comparison, because whenever like they didn't and we did practice, pursue our goals, we were actually getting closer and closer, closing the gap. Yeah. What I'm saying is, when I actually played Heroes of the Storm the last week, or like actually distracted myself, other people were working hard, and they were actually getting. Yeah, you get the point. Yeah. All right. So, what's the next point? Talking about the addiction. Yes. Okay. So here's the thing, and about general. I think I can talk about general addiction here. Also in this case, directly regarding to me, as an example, as a bad example. Yeah? Okay. So, yeah, I begin with the example. Okay, so I actually grew up, I mean, okay, guys who are actually watching the stream, they know I actually grew up like in poor, in a quite poor environment, and my peer group was actually, yeah, also, yeah, how do you say, yeah, not the best. So what actually happened is I was actually, of course, surrounded with a lot of, like, whatever, yeah, whatever you have, like, of course, also a lot of alcohol, binge drinkers, nicotine, weed, some drugs, but not too much. Okay, long story short, I actually began smoking when I've been 12 or 13 years old, and I've been smoking, and then actually, like, when I was 14, I actually smoked like a pack per day. Pack means 20 cigarettes in Europe. Okay, so I've been smoking since I've been 20 years old, and I think I mean, for me it was always okay, right? I mean, okay till I was actually 18, and when I was 18 or 19, I mean, there were some reasons which actually would speak for quitting the smoking. So, but I didn't really super try it, but I made some tries, and whenever I tried to actually stop smoking, it was really depressing because, like, you just felt your own incapability. What I mean is, when you actually have been smoked for 7 years or something, what usually, like, what you're feeling is, yeah, you smoke because it's cool and because, like, yeah, it's a nice thing to do. It's really enjoyable, and but I mean, obviously you think probably you're a little bit addicted, but what you also think is you can always quit. Yeah, and when you actually try, like, you have your first trials of quitting smoking, you realized that it's not like this. Yeah, like, my first trials were, yeah, I mean, whatever. You do some, and suddenly you do stuff like where you think, like, what the fuck? Like, what are examples? Like, examples are, you say, okay, this is my last cigarette, now I stop smoking, and in the evening you go to the automat, like to the cigarette shop again. Yeah, and you, like, cigarette shop or like cigarette automat. That's really clever also from those cigarette guys, that they actually have automats that, if you are craving, you can always buy cigarettes and stuff like this. So really good stuff. That, or let's say you don't have even like the change. Like, sometimes you, like, in earlier times you needed to have like change for these cigarettes. Like, if you wanted to purchase them, as I know nowadays you can purchase them with cards, but you were then asking random people on the street whether they can actually change your money so that you can actually buy cigarettes. Sometimes you even, like, then you were like searching your whole. For those who are non-smokers, they cannot probably understand that, but for those who are smokers, they can understand that. Then you look for in your whole flat whether you didn't even, like, forgot any cigarette. Okay, you get the point. So what I actually did is, like, I tried over the course of 2 years. I tried hard and hard, and the funny thing here is, it was like, I actually probably tried like 40-50 times to quit smoking. And everything, every time it was a big disappointment, because I really wanted to do that. It seemed that every time I succeeded a little bit more. It didn't feel like that, but actually it was. It had to be the case, and so I think when I tried it, like, let's say the 40th time, I actually could really try to stop smoking for 1 or 2 weeks, and then the next time I could stop it for 1 month, and then eventually I really stopped it. Yeah. And then, like, if I thought about, like, back to my earlier trials, I suddenly realized that the will to actually stop smoking, it was not like, yeah, simply the realization that it was, that I had so much will of stopping smoking, that I actually also needed to practice to stop it in order to succeed at some point. Okay. So, yeah. So it was really, yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I completely stopped, and I even went to a point where I really didn't like to do it any longer. I think the main issue for me was the health issue, because it's so extremely unhealthy to smoke that you just shouldn't do it. There were a lot of other things actually involved in that. One thing was that how do you say, like, the disparity between me and like the guy, the man I wanted to be, or let's say, I mean, it just doesn't fit me as a very rational person. I really, like, how I usually do things is I think about things, I wonder how they should be, and then I try to make them happen. You want an example? So let's say I'm used to eat a lot of chocolate, perhaps. I mean, if you eat really dark chocolate, it's not even unhealthy. Okay, let's say I'm used to drink 1 liter of Coca-Cola every day. Okay, my rationale, if I would reflect it, would say 1 liter of Coca-Cola in general is bad for your health. So you should not drink any Coke. Okay, so after the realization of this, after reflecting what you should do, I tried to do it. So after I realized, okay, I should not drink Coca-Cola, because I rationalized it, I tried to actually make it happen. Yeah. And of course it's not that easy, because if you're used to drink 1 liter of Coca-Cola every day, probably it will get really, really hard. Yeah, because your body will crave after the sugar, after the habit, because we are actually people of habit. So it will take a while until your body and your mind will get used to it, probably several weeks. Yeah, studies are different, like studies differentiate between like 3 and 6 weeks to change habits, but once it happened, it won't be that difficult. Okay, so this is actually what I'm used to do. So this is also why I wanted to quit smoking like with 18 or 19 years, because I was thinking about, is it clever or not? Is it a good thing to do or a bad thing to do? I realized it's a bad thing to do. I want to stop it, but I just couldn't. So that actually made myself really, how do you say, not schizophrenic, but it's like, this is the person you want to be, here you are, and you try to be this person, but it just doesn't work. And that was really frustrating. But eventually, once you get to the point that you succeed, it's a really good feeling. Okay, so I take a look at the chat, and then I continue with the topic, why I'm actually talking about it here. Yeah. Okay. So okay, so here is the actually like bridge to okay, to what I want to talk about. So there was like actually vaping introduced, and like for me, as I said, like the main reason for me to stop smoking was always like that it's unhealthy. But vaping actually, studies indicate that it's probably not healthy. Yeah, not unhealthy, or not like, yeah, nearly not unhealthy. Like some studies say it's completely without any effect, but whatever. Okay, so and also some friends of mine were in the vaping business. So actually they said, oh yeah, take some of this vaping stuff and whatever. So I vaped some, and it was actually, I mean, it was not that bad. It's like 1,000 times better than smoking. But actually, it also didn't feel healthy at all. As a matter of fact, I think it actually irritates your throat and stuff like this. Because like when I actually vape, I actually felt irritation of my throat during this vaping, after the vaping. Don't misunderstand me here, guys. If you are smoking, please begin to vape, because it's 1/100th as unhealthy as smoking. So I'm actually, like, if you're a smoker, I'm a really, really big vapor fan. E-cigarettes. Yeah. But better than e-cigarettes is not smoking at all. I mean, like, let's say this is a line, then I would say here, like, if this is 100% unhealthy and this is like healthy, this means non-smoking at all, then here are e-cigarettes and here are cigarettes. Okay, so I think I can make the long story short, yeah. I mean, because I have still in mind, I mean, this will also not really quickly disappear, because you have strong associations with nicotine and with cigarettes, positive associations. I can make the topic bigger why this is the case. Perhaps you can just shortly. Okay, so here's the thing. In your life you will have like positive occasions and negative occasions. Okay, what happens is in general positive occasions, they manifest in your mind because they are positively connotated, they won't disappear. Negative things which happen to you will disappear and fade away over the time. So if you think about your youth experience or your experience in your teenage time, you will always have, okay, perhaps you will have the one or the other negative experience too, but you will have an extremely positive connotation. And that also is the reason why people always say, oh, if I could only be a teenager again. Yeah. The reality is, probably the teenager time was really bad. Like the stuff what happened, like the insecureness, and that you still needed to find yourself, that you didn't know where you stand, you didn't have money, you actually consumed like a lot of stuff. You probably, it's not even clear whether you were really healthier than now, like the social issues were not there, you had to do stuff, like whatever, going to school, you couldn't decide most of the major issues for the, you get the point. Chances that your life now is much better than in your teenage times is really, really likely. Yeah, you also develop as a person and so on and so on. But still you think, okay, the teenage time was probably nicer than in fact, the time you're living in now. So how does this connect to smoking? If you're a smoker, first of all, every occasion will connect to a cigarette. Why that is if you smoke a pack per day, you probably smoke every half an hour a cigarette or something like this. I know that's only 10 hours, but there are also active hours and inactive hours. Yeah. So let's say every half an hour. So whenever you had a positive occasion, chances that you were smoking at the same time is very likely. Of course, also this is true for the negative occasions, but as I said, the negative occasions will fade away in your memory, whereas the positive occasions will still stay, which means you actually have positive connotations, positive connections to cigarettes. Another thing is about endorphins. So nicotine actually activates your endorphins, and of course the thousands of other additives which the tobacco industry actually adds to the cigarettes also will increase the endorphin output. Okay, so that means whenever you smoked, you have like a slight increase in endorphins, and whenever you didn't smoke, you have like a slight decrease in endorphins, which means that whenever you had a cigarette, also these were always like also small peaks of good occasions, which also again increases the likelihood of you having positive connections and positive associations with cigarettes, also of course subconsciously. Yeah. Okay. So that means if you get nostalgic and you think about cigarettes, you will always have like probably also negative associations, especially if you make yourself to actually attach negative emotions and associations to that. So, and that's also another thing, by the way. So why I actually could succeed and stop to smoke was because I hated it so much, and that I actually began to attach negative emotions to that. So I actually was trying to make myself, because yeah, I know the topic. It actually okay. I will also talk about how you make your decisions. So of course you can reflect things rationally, always with an emotional component. But how you actually act is usually emotionally driven. So only because you say you should do something or you shouldn't do something, it doesn't mean that you will do something or you don't. Yeah. That's a big issue, right? I mean, that's why there are so many motivational trainers out there, which I, by the way, think are not very useful, because motivation has to come from inside. There is nothing like somebody who can hit you to motivation or something. It has to come from inside, and coming from inside means you have to believe in it, being emotionally attached to a thing. Yeah. So what actually happened for me when I actually stopped smoking was that I actually was hating it so much that there were like a lot of negative emotions also attached. Also, whenever I couldn't stop it because I tried and I didn't succeed again, I hated it so much that that was also again very negatively connotated. And then of course I tried like with a negative bias, like whenever I saw people smoking, I always tried to see rather the negative than the positive. So I see somebody smoking outside while it is like -5 degrees Celsius. That's like whatever in Fahrenheit, 40, 30, 20, I don't know. But I always thought, oh, this poor individual, he has to smoke outside because he is addicted. So he has to go out there and it's cold and it's unpleasant, but he still has to do it because he is addicted. So, okay, so negative emotions, negative attachment, whatever. So last week I actually vaped a little bit because like, yeah, my wife actually, as a matter of fact, she tries to stop smoking now, so she vapes, so she has a vapor. So I actually vaped because I was in a very negative mindset anyways. I was like, heroes of the storm and this, and I'm in the hotel room. My daily rhythm, my daily routine is completely messed up. Yeah, I guess I just wanted that, like to hit the bottom. I just wanted to hit the zero. So I also, I mean, of course, I didn't binge drink or something, but I vaped too and stuff like this. And what I just want to like now as the constructive point. Of course, it didn't lead anywhere, and of course, I stopped this vaping again 2 days ago. And of course, I will now quit again because it is not much of an issue for me. As I said, it's only about practice, and because like if I stopped so many times, of course it's difficult every time again, but because you already also know like how your body is reacting, it's not that difficult to go through that time. What I'm saying is, for example, in the night when I think, oh, I'm feeling so bad about this, I have like a crave or whatever it is, I know that it is like that and I know it will disappear, and because I know it will disappear, I won't try to do something against it. Yeah. But this is not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how it is generally, yeah, and how it leads nowhere. So this is like just my experience, but in general it goes for all kind of things, for all kind of drugs, for whatever it is. Yeah. So in terms of cigarettes, of course, if you're nicotine addicted or if you're cigarette addicted, if you try to stop and you have this crave, I mean, perhaps you know already, but I will tell you again, like, it doesn't lead you anywhere if you like consume cigarettes just to get rid of the craving, because it won't end, because we are people of habits, and as such, as long as you pursue a habit, it will come over and over again. Yeah, so you won't succeed in stop smoking if you don't stop smoking. Yeah, sure, but it's not only for smoking, it's also true for other things like medicaments, drugs, alcohol, also like sugar, like abuse of sugar, abuse of television, abuse of pretty much any addiction. Yeah. Being addicted to something which you don't like to be addicted to. I mean, I'm not saying like, I mean, there can be also things like you want to do and you're addicted to. Let's say you want to reach some goal and you're really, really committed to that. You also get kind of addicted. You only do that because you really want to achieve this goal. And this is something really good. And this is also why you probably feel those addictions. Yeah, because like in general, it's not a bad thing to just have a specific thing always in mind and pursue it all the time. It just gets negative if it actually gets abused. Abused by drugs, for example, because they actually connect exactly to that. They actually connect exactly to the bad habit or to the good habit actually of us pursuing things. I don't know whether that's what that was clear. I think, long story short, it's just a negative feedback loop. Yeah, Whenever you do stuff which doesn't lead you, whenever you distract yourself, you get some distractions, you get into a negative feedback loop, which means you have less energy, so you feel worse, and because you feel worse, you have to do something again. Oh, this actually, and the positive feedback loop, if you do something which actually takes effort, but it leads you to getting nearer to your goal, you feel positive feedback, and this will give you the energy to actually pursue it over and over again, which leads you then to a positive feedback loop. Yeah. What I wanted to talk is about like the bad feeling you will sometimes encounter, and you need to get rid of that. Or what I mean is like you shouldn't, but it's like, so here's the thing. I'm very aware of the fact, and this is also like we talked about emotions and how your actions actually are driven by emotions and not by the rational. And we also don't need to talk about the good times. We don't need to talk about the times where you're actually already motivated, where you actually burst out of energy and stuff like this, and where you actually pursue your goals. We don't need to talk about those times, because these are not the times where it actually matters. You're already pursuing your goals, you're already in a good mood, even if you do sports, whatever. Yeah? We don't need to talk about those moments. But I think we should talk about those moments which actually matter. The moments where you can mess a lot of things up. Yeah? Because those are the moments which actually matters the most. Yeah? If you are once feeling badly, and you go out and binge drink yourself, let's say you binge drink yourself to exhaustion, chances are that you're probably messed up for the next 1 or 2 weeks. A little bit. I'm not saying you're completely wasted after a week, but probably you're completely wasted for 1 or 2 days. And then another 5 days, it will take its toll. It will take the energy out of you. Depending on what you do, whatever, if you do harder stuff, let's say you do heroin or something, probably once you're heroin addicted, it even leaches for more than a week. Yeah. But this binge drink was just an example. Okay, so, I just wanted also to say to the cigarettes, big thing is also that you're also addicted in your mind, which means cigarettes are not only unhealthy for your body, but for me it's also a big thing about the mentality, like about being addicted, and it means that part of your energy and also of your thinking goes to the drug, whatever it is. So you're thinking about it, you're thinking, one cigarette, that would be now good, and this also takes a lot of focus away, which you could actually pursue other things with. Okay, but that's to the topic, back to the topic. So 1 week of exhaustion. Yeah. So if you're only weak, let's say for 2-3 hours, you're weak for 2-3 hours, it could mess up 168 hours. And that's huge. Yeah. So the question is, what do you about those times? And like, what times am I talking about? Okay. I'm talking about those times where you are lonely. Yeah. Let's say you're lonely and you're feeling bad. You're feeling sad. Now you could say, yeah, if you're feeling lonely, you can just surround yourself with other people. It's not that easy. You can also feel lonely even if you're surrounded by other people. Yeah. If they don't understand you, or if you have like specific issues, you can feel extremely lonely even if you're surrounded by other people. Perhaps you can distract yourself, but the loneliness, the sadness will hit eventually, because you cannot ignore it. There's a reason why you feel melancholistic, why you feel a melancholy. Positive, yeah, positive things. I think I also talked about this once, but other cultures don't have a negative association to melancholy. Yeah, if you have like the Western perception, usually it's like melancholy is bad, being sad is bad, not being because we are a fun society. Not having fun is being connotated as very negative things. Yeah. On the other hand, in Eastern cultures, it's being actually positively connotated. Melancholy leads to the state where you actually double question yourself. You double question states, and as such, you can actually get the ability to reflect those states. And if you reflected states, you can actually think about change and how you would like to change them. Yeah. So being in a melancholy is extremely important for your personal growth. Yeah, for the ability to actually change things to the better. to improve your personality. Yeah? If everything is good, there is no need to change. Yeah? If you're lucky, there is no need to change, right? At least no emotional reason to change. You're lucky. Why should you change anything? So if you're always lucky, chances that you don't self-develop yourself that much are very high. Okay, because there is no need for change. Okay. So what I'm saying is, if you feel this extreme loneliness, you feel extremely sad, you don't know what to do, the time is just not flowing by, you have the feeling of extreme emptiness in yourself, there is a melancholy, you wonder whether you are depressed, whatever, yeah? Your life feels like it's not successful. You feel that other people have friends and you don't. I mean, despite having friends, you can have the feeling that you don't have friends. Or you have the feeling that nobody can understand you. You have the feeling that the world is flowing by, other people have fun, you don't. Other people are have like social communications, positive social communication, social and positive, and are friends to each other and having a lot of fun, and you cannot just get into the state, perhaps you don't enjoy that even, and you wonder what's wrong with you. Chances are that probably there's nothing wrong with you. Yeah, there are many reasons to that, but one of the reasons is the thing that if you think other people have so much fun and this community stuff, chances are that like it's only your perception, right? I mean, and they of course, because we have a fun society, they will always try to actually show that they have a lot of fun with it. So you have no, like let's say you are in a club, of course people will, yeah, cheer, and yeah, we are having so much fun, and yeah, drink, and hey, come on buddy, yeah, come on, hey, let's chill, yeah, cool, good stuff. Of course you have that. Yeah, but do you really think that's the truth? I mean, if that would be so great, probably people would do it till they are 80 and they die, right? I mean, I'm just saying, there's also a reason why rather younger people are enjoying this stuff, enjoying that stuff. Perhaps it's not as enjoyable as your perception of it being enjoyable is. And perhaps also, and this is the thing, all this loneliness and all this sadness has its reason, and it's not negative, perhaps it's positive. And as such, it should also be taken. Yeah? What I'm saying is, if you connotate it negative, the only thing you want to do very quickly is to get rid of that. Yeah? And what are the shortcuts of our society nowadays to get rid of it? Yeah, of course. Yeah, fun, party, drinking, drugs, sleep deprivation, and stuff like this. But there are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts to pursuing your goals. So all these things which I just mentioned, they seem to be shortcuts to happiness, or shortcuts to actually get rid of this bad feeling. But there are no shortcuts to get rid of this bad feeling. If you do those things, you will not feel better, you will feel worse in the long run. On the other hand, if you take yourself together and accept that there are sometimes situations like this, and you manage to get through them and taking them positively, thinking about how you could use those states to be more motivated, to achieve bigger things, to be more rational about things, then you will get into a positive feedback loop, which will actually lead to higher chances to be successful. I'm not saying it will necessarily lead to happiness, but then again, I also already had like a talk about happiness, and that I think perhaps it's even overrated. In the fun society nowadays, if you ask people like, what is your first goal, what is your motivation in life, what would you like to achieve in life, they answer you probably happiness. First of all, happiness is only like a fluctuative state. So if you would always be as equally happy, you would basically be never happy, right? Because your emotional state would be always the same. Yeah? I'm not saying you can be more satisfied or whatever, but you get that if you have a curve, then those moments are more happy than those moments. But you have, if you have like something like this, even if it's a high state of happiness, you're always as happy, and as such you will get dull, because happiness is also, of course, a neurochemical process. Yeah, so you cannot have the happiness neurochemical process all the time for many reasons. But for example, your receptors will get bigger then, and so on. But that would be too micro now. But what I'm saying is, of course, it's a fluctuation. So this is the first thing. And the second thing, and this is also what I talked about, like if you could like happiness, you can always be happy if your standards just lower. Yeah. So if you lower your standards, what I'm saying is, happiness is not something rational or objective measurable. And not only that, like if I would ask you, what would you prefer? You would, even if there's something like 100% happiness, which I don't believe in, but let's say you would, let's say there would exist something like this, and I would ask you, what would you like? Being absolutely unsuccessful in life, your life didn't matter at all, but you have the chance to be 100% happy all the time, or you have a life extremely successful, you achieve your goals, you really move, you make other people happy, your life has a meaning, but for that you are only happy, let's say 30% of your time. What would you choose? I choose the second. Yeah. I don't know what you choose, but if you think about it, I think it's also a little bit overrated. But okay, like happiness in general, like this crave to be happy all the time is a little bit overrated. But that would be a completely different issue, so let's not talk about that. I just take a look at the chat and then we go into the break, because it's 7:36, so that means it's a break. So, let's see. Okay, show is shooting the heroine. Yeah, okay, good. Oh, what? There are some Hugh Hefner is still enjoying that stuff and so on. Okay, and this is also again about the fun society and the perception of it. So what you, and this is also something I can actually also opt out a little bit, because, and studies also opt that out, but so what the general perception of society is, you have to like have also, I mean, some consumer stuff to be happy. Yeah. And what I mean is like, and this is like fun society, and of course like goals which are being praised by our society. Yeah, okay, what I'm talking about, perhaps I just make some examples. Big car, big house, yacht, whatever, and then family, like probably wife, kids. Okay, so I won't talk about wife and kids, because I think wife and kids really are part of our biological disposition, and also is really great to have. Yeah, I really think that's, I don't think it's an absolute must, but I'm, yeah, I definitely think that's a positive thing. Yeah, I will talk about the other stuff, the consumer stuff, big house, yacht, big car, stuff. Yeah, money, whatever. Yeah. So the perception is, if you only have a big car, you are a big guy, or a big woman. I don't know whether it also counts for women's, but as a man, it's definitely true, right? I mean, the bigger your car, the bigger your, yeah. Okay, so big car should make you happy. Believe me, guys, it won't. Big house, the bigger the house, the bigger makkah or whatever, the bigger guy you are, it will increase your happiness at the beginning, or will you make you feel better at the beginning. In the long run, these are hygienic factors. It's a nice to have, but that's everything it is. A big, comfortable, luxurious car, it's nice to have. If it doesn't hurt you at all, please purchase one. But if it doesn't hurt you at all in pursuing your goals, or in your ability to do stuff you love, because you have to work stuff you don't like, just in order to sustain this big car, please don't do it, because it's stupid. Yeah? And the same goes for your big house. Yeah? Of course, a big house is a nice to have, it's a nice hygienic factor. If you can just afford a big house just without hurting yourself, yeah, please do it, please buy one, yeah, or please rent one, or whatever you want to do. But if it only hurts your ability to focus on your stuff because you're in financial needs, or it forces you to work something you don't like, just because you need that money to maintain or sustain the big house, guys, it's nonsense. Yeah, let's not do that. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Okay, so. What Dan Gilbert? No, I didn't read the book, but in general, I mean, these like Dan Gilbert has usually like, I mean, they are pretty known facts, right? I mean, there are also like the treadmill or whatever you call it of happiness, and so on and so on. I mean, there has been a lot of research in happiness, but usually, if you watch like different people talking, usually, I mean, at least you should have like some foundation in that. But what I'm saying is, you will see that stuff repeats itself. Yeah, and the reason for that is like, yeah, because it goes. What I'm saying is you have to make your own picture, of course. You get like some literature from different parts, and then you have to make your conclusions, and these are actually the conclusions I actually drew. Okay, so break. It's break time. I will also just take a look what we talked. So we talked about last week a little bit. Oh, I will still talk about it. We talked about being addicted to nicotine or endorphin. I'm permanently interacting with you guys. Alright, so these are the things we will talk about after the break. The break will be roughly 12 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes. Okay guys, cool. I mean, if you already talk about it, I can probably also talk. Yeah, I mean, I usually don't do that, but if you have like specific questions, for example, Kira asked, what happened when you feel that the train passed? First I can answer that one, and then I go into the break. So, Kira asked, like, what happens when you feel that the train passed and you have no motivation at all and your life becomes a routine? What can you do to change that? Yeah. Feel that the train pass. I mean, and that's also one thing, right? I mean, what I cannot do is like, I cannot give like specific life coaching, because like for that I would need to know you, like in general. So what I mean is like, there is not like, there are general pieces of advice and specific pieces of advice. So like specific piece of advice would be like saying what would probably be good, what you should do, and things like that. And this I obviously cannot do, because for that I would need to know your life, and like at least knowing you for at least 1 or 2 weeks, like really dense and closely. Because before that, of course, there's simply not enough knowledge like to say anything about that. Yeah. And in general, the best thing would also always like not like inferring something, but that everybody has like, because it's very individual, right? So what's good for the one is not good for the other, which means you always have to make your decision yourself. But I think perhaps there are some things I like, just things to be considered, which can then lead to make a better decision for yourself. So, I mean, train, you said something about the train already passed. There's nothing like the train already passed. You're already in a specific situation now. There's not the train already passed. Like, whatever situation you were in, you can make the best out of it now. What do you mean by the train passed? Do you mean you're 35 and like you like I just don't get it. I mean, there is nothing like the train pass. Of course you cannot get like a world-class tennis player if you're already 45 and you have never played tennis in your life. Of course you cannot do that, yeah. But as a human being nowadays in our society, you have infinite options. Infinite means thousands, yeah. So let's say you have 100,000 options. And yeah, as I said, like once you have you hit the 45, you cannot get like a world class, probably not even with 35. So of these 100,000 of options, probably whatever 98% are not reliable any longer. Yeah, but the 2% are still thousands of options. Yeah, and you just have to always check out what you would like and what you would like to pursue. The daily routine. I mean, what does a daily routine mean? Daily routine usually means, especially like if you pursue your goal and you have some daily routine to actually get nearer and nearer to this goal, this bigger goal you want to pursue, you won't feel that it's bad or something at all. And even a routine here helps you a lot, right? I mean, having a routine to get closer and closer to your goals should be pretty awesome, actually. Yeah. But if you're talking about the routine, not knowing what to do, and doing something you don't want to do just to distract yourself, and being caught in that every day over and over again, yeah, you should change your behavior. Yeah, because like every day, let's say you sleep 8 hours a day, there are 16 hours left. Let's say you need 2 hours for sleeping, for eating, drinking, doing sanitary stuff, and so on. You probably still have like 14 hours left every day. 14 hours. Yeah, that's huge. The fun fact is that even if you have a job nowadays, because you work half as many hours as like 100 years ago, you will still have infinite time, like a lot of leisure time. But the key is just not to do stuff which distracts you, which blocks you, which you don't want to do. Yeah, that's basically the key. And then once you have this time, you just fill it with something else you want to do, which actually help you to pursue your goals, which go into the right direction. Easier said than done. And now many people will say, yeah, but what the fuck? I mean, I have to work. I have to work to pay my flat. I have to work to pay that, and so on and so on. Yeah. Okay. The fun fact is nowadays, and I'm not talking about social aid or something, but you can reduce your habits or your needs, so that you can really, like, even if you would need to do some job to sustain yourself, even then you could probably reduce your costs of living, probably, if you're alone. If you don't have a family, depending on the part of the world you live in. But if you live in the western part of the world, what would you need? A flat for... I mean, I want to infer too much, but I can just tell you like what my costs were. So my costs were like under 1,000, probably 600 a month or something. So like I think I paid 300 for the flat and 300 for the food and drinks. I never bought anything else, like no party, no buying anything. And yeah, I guess 600 a month perhaps. Yeah, some people will now say I'm crazy and 600 is never be enough for anything. Yeah, but I think you can reduce your needs to 600 a month roughly. So if you don't want to receive social aid, and let's say you have a job which gives you 10 bucks an hour, I think that's quite realistic. If you take the crappiest job, you need to work 60 hours a month. Yeah. So 60 hours a month means like 2.5 hours every day if you work 24 days a week, 24 hours a month, 24 days a month. It's really time for the break. Yeah. What I'm saying nowadays in the modern society, you don't have to work much at all to sustain yourself, which means if you really want to pursue something and your argument is you don't have enough time, chances are that you are doing stuff you shouldn't. Yeah, easy as that. And I'm not only talking about the stuff work you shouldn't, but also the stuff costs you shouldn't. Yeah. Now think about it. Think about it. Yeah. I'm going into the break now, and yeah, I'm going into the break now, and I see you in 10 minutes or something. Just a short look at the chat before. Also, Show is asking, life coach, when you lost your passion and enjoyment for poker, what did you do afterwards? Okay, I did this question, but okay. So, enjoyment for poker. That was again with the rational and the emotional, what I talked about earlier. So once I realized poker is not ethically correct. Poker is non-ethical. The reason for that, I also talked about that. It's a null-sum game. Your goal are to damage your opponent. You gain if he suffers. So your goal is actually to damage him. So that makes it probably a non-ethical environment. I'm not saying everybody is like that, but in general, the game of poker, if you think about it, is a non-ethical environment. And once I realized that rational, my emotional part actually, I mean, as I said, usually, like my life is like that. Things I rationalize myself, I will also feel, or I try to incorporate them into my emotional feeling. So that also happened. So at some point it was simply clear, rationally and emotionally, poker is not the right thing. Yeah. So I actually quitted it. Monetarily it was still absolutely crazy, but that's another topic. Like, you just have to pursue your goals. Like, money cannot compensate. That's another thing, but I won't talk about it now. Money cannot compensate. Yeah. Okay, but so I actually began to do my sabbatical. I began with Hearthstone, and it actually grasped my attention. Yeah. And as such, I was really passionate, or I still am very passionate about Hearthstone. Not that much the last week, but and in general, instead, I'm very passionate for Hearthstone, and that was also the reason why I actually pursued it. And being a competitive person, I always want to be best at what I do. Yeah, at least the best I can actually achieve as a person. And if this leads then to be the best in the environment or the best in the topic anyways, then that's a really cool thing to have. But you should always try to get the best out of yourself, not like in comparison to others, but in comparison to what your potential is. Yeah, what you can potentially achieve. So if you achieve what you could potentially achieve, putting aside that then you potentially grow again, then that's a really, really good thing to do, no matter where you stand compared to others. Okay, so yeah, $600 now. I was talking about euro back then. So 600 euro back then is probably 700, 800 nowadays, I guess. But 600, I would make a bet that I could actually live from 600, even nowadays. But Of course, this involves not doing anything, yeah, but it's also not that difficult because and this is also another thing, by the way, haha, like topics or also hobbies. Like if you pursue something, like the argument that you don't have enough money for it, I won't ever believe you guys, yeah, because if you have something you really want to do, there's always a way, no matter what it is. Yeah, there are of course hobbies which doesn't cost a dime, juggling or whatever it is, or let's say, yeah, all the hobbies you can do by yourself without having like any big equipment are for free. But even those things you're passionate about and you really want to pursue them, and they actually cost money, and they're actually even like, let's say, a privileged sport, golf, tennis, whatever it is. If you're passionate about them and good enough, there is always a way. Yeah, there's always a way. There is never like you're passionate and talented and you're really doing well in any area, and because you don't have enough financial resources blocks you. It's basically nearly never the case. Yeah, unless you want to do some fregatta or regatta or whatever it's called, you need a boat. Their thing, or you want to be like in a jet set contest or whatever. These are different things, but in general, I mean, yeah, normal stuff. So yeah. Okay. Okay, cool stuff, guys. See you in 10.